town manager barely survived an ouster move, and you cast the deciding vote to keep Mr. Graham. Explain your perception of the town manager's performance and why you voted to keep him.
Well, like I said earlier, you know, I'm with Mr. Graham probably more than any of the councilmen at all during the day, and I work with Mr. Graham for 2 and 3 hours a day, and I find Mr. Graham to be a very honorable person. He's never, as I know of, lied to me about anything. Things that he has told me, he has been very efficient in getting it completed. And so I didn't feel that the council was merited in trying to get Mr. Graham released from his position. And so I took the position that Mr. Graham's doing a job that we've asked him to do, and we've asked him to come in and to when we hired him, because I was here when we hired him and I was on the council, that we wanted him to make some changes in Front Royal. And he's made these changes, and I think it's best for the community in what he's done. So yes, I'm in favor of Mr. Graham. I think he's done a great job, and I'll continue to support Mr. Graham.
The town manager barely survived an ouster move, with Mayor Tewalt casting the decisive vote in a 4-3 margin to keep Mr. Graham. Tim, there's been some talk that you might bring a fourth vote to oust Mr. Graham out of office. Is that true? And what is your perception of Mr. Graham's performance during both your tenure on council as vice mayor and since?
Okay, absolutely that's not true. And the reason that's not true is, to start with, well, I don't know who the other 3 votes would be. And I don't have any information on what sparked that whole issue before. I know that I thought it was handled poorly as far as the way it was handled, but then again, I understand why, things come out of closed sessions, issues happen. When I served with Mike Graham, I thought Mike Graham did a good job. He was new, his feet were wet, but I certainly have no intent of getting rid of Mike Graham, and I've heard the same rumor, by the way, getting rid of Mike Graham or anyone else that are staff there right now. What I do hope is that we can provide accountability not only for Mike Graham, the staff, and he can provide it for the staff, but as well as the council and myself. If I'm not doing my job, the people will let me know in 2 years. If Mike Graham is not doing his job, then the council needs to let him know. But as far as what I know right now, as far as I know he's doing his job, I don't have anything to tell me anything different. And absolutely that is a rumor that I've heard myself, and I'm not very pleased with it, but I certainly have no intention of being the fourth vote. Now, I'm not saying that in the future, if circumstances arise and there's some things that I can sit down and honestly say through evaluations and through processes that Mr. Graham is not doing his job, or any town manager, let me make that clear, then I certainly will cast the vote that needs to be cast to benefit the citizens of the town.
But you're not approaching it with a preconceived notion.
Absolutely not. That's not even fair to myself or Mike Graham or the citizens. Why would, that, I don't even know, I haven't seen, since I left council, I don't know any performance reports on Mr. Graham. I don't have any of the information. I'm a person that believes, until that's proven to myself, and then I can stand up and tell you honestly why I feel that way, then there's no intent of any of that misconception. It's all a misconception right now. So I'm glad you asked that, because I wanted the opportunity to clear that up.
We like to clear up those election year rumors. The town of Front Royal, as you well know, is part of Warren County. What is your perception of the relations between the two governments right now, and how can those relations be improved or maintained in a positive level?
Well, I think since I was on the council this time, we started the liaison meetings, which we meet every 2 months, and we sit down and talk about issues that is forthcoming, that whether they want or we want. I think that's been very positive in our relationship. But the biggest thing, I think, in the relationship with the county is Mr. Fox and myself, we usually have lunch at least 2 or 3 times a month and talk about issues and things of that nature. And I think at this point we have a very good relationship with the Board of Supervisors. Could be better, but I think at this point it's a whole lot better than it was prior to 2 years ago.
Should I ask who buys when you all go out for lunch?
We usually share.
The town of Front Royal is a part of Warren County. Sometimes that can be contentious with the double tax issues, this, that, and the other. What is your perception of the relations between the two governments right now, and how can those relations be improved or kept on a positive side?
Well, I think there's a lot of things. I know, like, the tax thing was out on the corridor was a big issue. And to be honest with you, I think if the town and county would have sit down and worked a little better, they could have came up with a more positive benefit to all out there. It's a tough call, because you have, it's basically a territorial thing. It's been going on for ages. I'm not saying I can fix it. I say I think I can work with it. I'm pretty even-keeled on things. I know for a fact that I can convince, or at least try to convince, the council that, we need them, as well as hopefully the counterpart on the supervisors will convince the supervisors that they need the town. It's almost to a point of, somehow along the line, we need to come to a happy medium and work this out. And I will work hard to try to get that to happen. I don't know who the counterpart will be, at this time on the Board of Supervisors. So hopefully if it's Mr. Fox, I know I can work with him. And that's the issue. The liaison, they kind of got the liaison started again, but I'm for open government. So if we need to get in there and talk the issues over, we'll bring everybody in the room and talk the issues over. But as long as everybody can remain civil and act, like decent human beings.
We certainly hope so. In the wake of losing the Carter pilot meals tax fee revenue estimated as much as $600,000 a good economy per year, do you think the town should consider annexation of any part of the North Commercial Corridor to replace that lost revenue?
Well, I'm not partial to annexation. I think annexation sometimes is more of a detriment than an asset. We did the actual cost figures to some degree. I mean, not 100%, but by the time we provide the services such as police and garbage and all the other amenities that we supply the area, we figured that it would actually eat up all the revenue that we would receive from the corridor. And so at this point, unless something changes, I would not be in favor of annexing the corridor.
I feel that the town needs to sit down with the county, as we stated in our last question, and work those issues out. Do I feel the county is going to allow an annexation? Well, I would think not. But, so maybe there is still some room. Maybe there is some room for an agreement. Maybe there is still room to negotiate. I personally think that annexation may be the last straw, but annexation is not as easy as it used to be. Just because you provide water services, I still think there's some way that maybe you can do a boundary adjustment or just come up with an agreement between the two. The town truly needs and deserves some of that revenue out there because they footed the town, citizens of the town of Front Royal footed the initial bill to get those water lines out there. And with that intent, maybe the agreement in 1996 wasn't written as well as it should have been written. Maybe it wasn't clear as it should have been clear. And I'm certainly not contradicting the judge's decision, but
as the judge said, it was a changing landscape too,
right.
Certain taxes being instituted by the county later.
Right, and I agree, so it's a difficult decision for him. But the citizens of the town of Front Royal are also the citizens of Warren County. So they're paying their taxes to Warren County as well as to the town of Front Royal. So they deserve some, or at least to work out some kind of issue to help burden the town's tax loss. As I stated earlier, the restaurants and some of the businesses in town have taken losses because of that out there. So, there needs to be somewhere a happy medium because we don't want Front Royal to economically dry up. And hopefully the town realizes that, and the county realizes that, and they can sit down and work together. I'm not saying you're going to get the whole $600,000, the whole $700,000, but
it's not like a game our businesses win, you lose.
Right. And what happens is the citizens of the town and the businesses in the town lose. So if we lose Kmart because of Walmart, did the town benefit? Did the county benefit? It needs to, somewhere you need to put aside how you help the town, how you help the county. You need to put it all together and say, how do we help the town and county? So I think it can be, I'm not saying, I don't think you have the leverage you had before the judge's decision, but I do feel that you can get with the county, and the county needs to be reasonable, and it needs to be public so that the people can understand that everybody's reasonable in it.